Level 1, the daughter. You learn to read a room before you can read a book, not because anyone teaches you, because in your house, reading the room is the difference between dinner and a beating. Your father runs the plaza the way he runs his family through fear, through volume, through the specific confidence of a man who has never once been told no by anyone he couldn't destroy. You watch him. You file everything. You're 8 years old. You sit at the corner of the dinner table, his house, his city, and you listen to men talk about things they assume you don't understand. Routes, shipments, names, who owes what to whom and what happens when they don't pay. You play with your food. You look at the tablecloth. You hear every word. Your father sees a daughter. The men see furniture. That is the first and most important mistake anyone in this story will make. Your mother knows better. She watches you watching them, and one night, after the men have gone, she sits beside you and takes your face in both hands. She says, "You see everything, don't you? It isn't a question. You say nothing. You have already learned that what you know is most valuable when no one knows you know it." She kisses your forehead. She says, "Be careful with that. You file that too. You earn nothing. You cost nothing. You are learning. That is the whole job." Level 2, the education nobody planned. You are 12 when you understand that your father's empire is built on a foundation of men who are loyal to power, not to him. You understand this because you are invisible, and invisible people hear the conversations that happen when the room thinks it's empty. You are in the kitchen, behind the door, pretending to look for something in the pantry, when two of your father's lieutenants talk about the shipment he lost last month, how he blamed the wrong man, how he executed the wrong man, how everyone knows it and nobody said anything, and the man who actually stole from the shipment is still sitting at the dinner table eating your father's food, smiling at your father's jokes. You go back to your room. You write the name down on a piece of paper. You hide it under the loose floorboard beneath your bed. You have 17 names under that floorboard by the time you are 15. Your father sends you to a private school in the city, far enough away to feel like reward, close enough to control. You excel at everything that can be measured: mathematics, languages, economics. You learn English before any of your cousins. You learn accounting because it is the closest class to the thing you actually want to learn, which is how money moves, where it hides, and how it gets clean. Your teachers call you exceptional. Your father calls you his little princess, which is not the same thing. You smile at both of them. You file everything. You earn an education your father paid for and doesn't understand. You cost nothing yet. The bill is coming. Level 3, the marriage. You are 19 when your father tells you he has found you a husband. His name is Rodrigo. He is 34. He is the son of the Mendez family allied cartel, Northern Corridor, politically connected, 3 governors on payroll. The marriage is not romantic. The marriage is a business merger conducted through the bodies of the people involved in it. Your father explains this to you with the same tone he uses to explain route logistics. You are an asset being deployed for maximum strategic value. You look at your father across the table. You look at his hands. You think about the 17 names under your floorboard. You think about your mother, who has spent 20 years perfecting the performance of a woman who chose this, who has made peace so convincing that sometimes even you forget it is a performance. You think about the girl you were going to be before you understood what house you were born into. You say yes, but here is what it costs you in that room, in that moment, that nobody sees. There is a version of yourself that you have been protecting. Not loudly, you have never been loud about the things that matter most, but quietly, in the way you protected the floorboard and the names and the knowledge, you have been protecting a version of yourself that was going to do this differently. Who was going to walk out of this family's gravity through intelligence rather than marriage? Who was going to build something clean? You look at your father saying yes, and you understand that version of yourself is not surviving this room. You grieve her for exactly the length of the dinner. You sit through dessert with your mother's performance on your face, warm, composed, grateful, and underneath it, something seals shut that you will not open again for 20 years, not until a visiting room table and your daughter's hands and 6 words that crack the center of your chest. You grieve her, and then you file her. You have already decided to say yes before he asks, not because you are compliant, because Rodrigo has access to the Mendez accounts, the Mendez lawyers, and the Mendez network of front businesses across 4 states. You have been thinking about what you would do with those assets for 2 years. You have been thinking about it since before you knew his name. Rodrigo is not a bad man. He is a weak one, which is more useful. He is vain and insecure and desperately wants to be taken seriously by men who will never take him seriously. He responds to flattery the way a plant responds to water. You learn this on the honeymoon and never forget it. Within 6 months, you are managing his calendar. Within a year, you are sitting in on meetings. Within 18 months, you are running his schedule, his correspondence, his relationship with the Mendez lawyers, and 3 of his front businesses, not because he asked you to, but because you made yourself indispensable, so gradually he didn't notice until it was already true. He thinks he is letting you help. You are building infrastructure. He thinks you are his. You are building a filing cabinet so large it will eventually hold everything he thought he owned. You cost the woman who is going to do this differently. What you buy with her, everything else in this story. You will spend the rest of your life deciding if that was the right trade. Level 4, the inheritance. Your father dies on a Wednesday. Not an ambush, not a rival. His own heart tired finally of pumping blood through a man that size with that much whiskey in him. He goes quietly, in his sleep, which is not the death anyone expected for him, including him. The funeral is 400 people, men weeping over the casket like they lost their own father, men who are doing math behind the tears. You stand at the front in black, holding your mother's arm, and you scan the room the way you have been scanning rooms since you were 8 years old. Every man here is calculating. Some are calculating how to take the northern routes. Some are calculating whether the Mendez alliance holds. Some are calculating whether you are an asset worth keeping or a loose end that needs trimming before the organization restructures. You smile at every single one of them. Your uncle moves within a week. He announces himself as interim plaza boss. He cuts your mother's household account. He holds a meeting you are not invited to. That is his mistake. Not the power grab you expected the power grab. The mistake is holding the meeting in a restaurant you own the debt on. The mistake is using an accountant who has owed you a favor for 3 years. The mistake is forgetting that you have been present in every room of this organization for 6 years and everyone assumed you were only there to pour the coffee. You let him have the title for 45 days. You need 45 days. You cost 45 days of patience. What that patience buys is something no man in this organization sees coming and none of them will ever fully explain. Level 5, the first move. You make 3 calls. The first is to Don Esteban, your father's Colombian supplier, 62, who has been in this business long enough to respect results over gender and who your father disrespected openly at a dinner 4 years ago over a root disagreement. You know this because you were at the dinner. You were pouring coffee. Don Esteban did not know you were listening. He does not know you remember every word he said or that you spent 4 years thinking about what those words were worth. You call from a burner at midnight. You speak for 38 minutes. You lay out the problem. Your uncle is losing territory, burning reserves, making enemies on both sides of the border. You offer stability. The routes your father used plus 2 new ones you designed from conversations overheard over 3 years of dinners. You speak his language, which is not Spanish. It is logistics, precision, delivery on time. Don Esteban goes quiet for a long time, and then he says, "Your father never told me you understood this business." You say, "My father never asked." He agrees. The second call is to the Mendez accountant, a man named Fuentes, who has been skimming from Rodrigo for 2 years and knows you know it and has been waiting for the consequence ever since. You offer him something better than consequence, legitimacy under the new structure, a salary that makes the skimming unnecessary. In exchange, complete loyalty and the Mendez financial architecture transferred to accounts only you control. He agrees before you finish the sentence. The third call is to your uncle's own head of security, young, brilliant, overlooked, underpaid, deeply tired of watching a mediocre man fail upward. You offer him the number 2 position. You offer him the respect his talent has never received. You offer him a future that looks like something other than dying for a man who doesn't know his name. He agrees. 3 calls. No weapons, no blood, not yet. Your uncle comes to your house on a Thursday evening to make threats. He sits across from your kitchen table with your daughter's drawings still on the refrigerator behind his head. He tells you what happens to women who overstep. He tells you that you don't understand this world. You let him finish. Then you tell him that Don Esteban won't take his calls, that Fuentes has frozen his accounts, that his head of security took a new position this morning. You tell him he has until Sunday to leave the city. He leaves before midnight. Your hands are not shaking. They have never shaken. That is something you inherited from your mother, not your father. You cost 3 phone calls and 45 days of patience. You buy the organization your father spent 30 years building, run now by the person who was always going to run it better than he did. Level 6, the boss nobody sees. You run the operation from the back room of the import business you have owned for 4 years. Supply through Don Esteban on routes you redesigned from overheard conversations at dinner tables where everyone thought you were furniture. Distribution through your new head of security, who is exactly as brilliant as you calculated. Money through Fuentes and the front businesses cleaned, moved, stacked in accounts across 4 countries. The DEA parks outside your office twice a week and sees a businesswoman in a gray blazer signing paperwork. They see a widow managing her late father's legitimate holdings. They see everything except the truth, which is that the most powerful person in the state has been sitting in their rooms for 6 years and they never once looked directly at her. You are the most dangerous person in this city. You look like someone's mother. That is not an accident. That is 20 years of engineering. Within 6 months, the organization is more efficient than it was under your father, your uncle, and your grandfather combined. Not because you are more ruthless, though you are, when necessary, in a way that doesn't announce itself with volume. Because you run on information and patience and the surgical precision of a woman who spent 2 decades being underestimated by every man in every room. Your father ran on fear. Fear burns hot and runs out. You run on knowledge. Knowledge compounds. Here is what you will not say out loud. You are good at this, better than all of them. And the feeling that gives you that quiet certainty of a person who knows the machine is running and they are the one running it, you recognize it. You saw it on your father's face 1,000 times. You have it now, and it terrifies you. Not because it is unfamiliar, because it isn't. You control everything. You look like nothing. That gap between what you control and what you appear to control is the most dangerous space in any room. You live in it every day. Level 7, the cost that arrives late.